I think we're live. Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. Excuse me while I just see if this is being streamed properly. Oh, hi. All right, we've got a few people in here. Hello, so we are streaming by the looks of it. Who have we got? Love Kung Fu, Shaolin, hello. Jess Palmer, hello, what's up? Alwyn, hello. YouTube, hi. Effie Nation. Can you all hear me? Is everything okay? Is the sound coming through? Can anyone just let me know? Give me an okay, yes. Mojo Shop, hello. Effie Nation, hi. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Oops. Whoa. All right. Yeah, maybe that's better. I can see the chat up here now. Liz, the Iron Maiden, hello. All right. I'm just kind of refamiliarizing myself with OBS here. And everything's, as soon as I move something, it goes to a different place. Check my mail. Okay, wow, I've got an email already, have I? Okay. Or was it okay? Oh, Alvin, you mean from before? Yeah. Okay. Sound but barely. Okay, just a second. Let's set things up here. Bear with me. How's that? Bit better? I'm going to try and work out what to do with this chat window now. Okay. Oh, hi, hi, Andrew. How's that? Is that better? I think I should be. The monitor's peaking a bit more now. Let's turn it right up. See how we do there. Can hear you fine. Okay. Man, I'm trying to. Okay. How do I? Now my kind of chat thing has gone. A circle of light flashing behind me. Yeah, there may be a bit of a issue with the camera. I'm not sure. The you know, the streaming settings and what have you. Let's just kind of, okay, great. Hi, David Banner. Oh, great to see so many people in. Vividness 420. Hello, Trumpty Dumpty. Wow, I remember you from a long time ago. Okay, Josh Tree. Thank you. Photos for. Okay, great. I'm playing around with volume. Yeah. If ever you're doing audio, I can recommend you know, the cheaper end, the Focusrite box, little audio box with I can't even remember the name of my microphone. It's an SE microphone, but it's only on the left side. Oh, okay, it's like an old TV screen. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just kind of really just kind of experimenting at the moment. But anyway, don't worry about the screen too much. So yeah, as you'll see in the description, there's an invitation to come and join the discussion if you like. I'd really, you know, if it's someone who thinks flat earthers are stupid or wants to have a bit of a go, you're welcome to do so. So there's an email address you can send your email to, and I'll send back a link to a Google Hangout. Yeah, okay. So then that would mean I would reduce my screen. So yeah, sorry about the effect. I don't know if it's just because it's a plain wall. Maybe it's the lighting in the room. The cycles of the light, maybe, I don't know, but try and ignore it, okay? All right. Oh, Globebusters, hi. Tinfoil Hatter, hello. All right then, okay. Yeah, let's do. You know, I was just watching. It was very difficult to watch actually, or listen to, not to watch necessarily. There was a recent debate really between Professor Dave, who's pretty much an anti-flat earther, and David Weiss, and it was hard to listen to because, well, there was a lot of negative energy there. There wasn't any openness. And of course, that's one of the things we understand about openness. So I want to get into this idea that people are offended. And this is obviously a stumbling block. This is what blocks people from even thinking about the whole thing. Hi, Vividness. Okay, you go ahead, do your chores. The best way to do it, do something, listen along. That's great. But this is the thing, isn't it? One of the biggest stumbling blocks is that people feel offended if you are questioning the science. And that's understandable. And this is why Flat Earth is as much about psychology and society and social issues as much as anything else. Yeah, Professor Dave. This is it. What you have there is this presupposition that flat earthers are stupid. And that's because, of course, there is this model, this heliocentric model that has been really what's happened over the years is that all these assumptions and explanations have been put together to kind of come up with, there's an explanation for everything, isn't there? Let me start with a little story. When I first came to Thailand, my very first day in Bangkok, and I was in a kind of little tiny guest house in the kind of backpacker area, and I had to go to the toilet. And the first time you have to take a crap in a Thai toilet, a very Thai toilet, is basically a hole in the ground that you have to squat over, and there's no toilet roll. And in this place, there wasn't even a squirty bum washer. So there's just a bowl of water. And the thing is, having just arrived from my Western culture, my English culture, I didn't know what to do. Something as simple as going to the toilet is done completely differently somewhere else. And of course, for me as a Westerner coming from that, I'm thinking, oh my God, this just whatever, I can't deal with this. What are they doing? But of course, for the Thai or the Asian that usually squats in that way and washes their bum with some water, they think we're probably mad for smearing our crap all over our bums with toilet paper. Yeah. And this is just to highlight that there's a difference, that we're doing something very basic. Everyone has to do it. Yeah. It's something that we all have to do. Go to the toilet. But there are different ways of doing it. It's a very crude example, okay, but it's a very simple one as well. And then so you come into things like language, and of course you what happens when you're in another culture is that you have then put yourself into a position where you're forced to reassess what you thought you knew was the way everyone does things, because it's not. You find out that people do things differently here, or they think differently, or of course they speak differently. We all know that. But when you learn the language, you realize that there's a whole different way of thinking behind a lot of the vocabulary. Yeah. So it's very frustrating. It's very challenging. And of course, the challenge for the person who's entering into this new culture is to adapt. If you don't adapt, you don't really get along. You never do, and you could put your blinkers up, and you could become very narrow-minded and think that your way is the best way, it's the only way. And so this is what we experience when it comes to globe Earth believers or advocates of science and all the scientific explanations. You see, they're not discoveries, really, are they? There are a lot of discoveries, and scientists and science has come up with some wonderful advances. But when it comes to the Earth and our place in space, or wherever we are, then it's all assumptions, it's all theoretical. It always has been. And all you have is explanations. And a lot of the time, what you have, we've all been through it. If you're a flat earther like me, we've been through it. You get confronted with these arguments or assumptions. Oh, well, for example, we look to the north and we see the North Pole and we see the stars rotating. I think it's anti-clockwise. And you look to the south and you see the stars rotating clockwise. And in now that is an okay explanation if the fundamental discovery occurred in the first place, that you live on a globe, and of course that would come with curvature. There really, if there was any assumptions that we lived on a globe, then the first thing that anyone should have discovered was curvature. But as you will be well aware, all we have is looking up at the stars and making assumptions about that and assuming that we are a round thing as well. Now, for example, this debate that I watched between Professor Dave and David Weiss was, there was a whole kind of debate or discussion about the nature of stars and what they are, and of course Professor Dave is well versed in the scientific explanations, and there's no really there's no debate or argument about where they are, the predictive nature of them and things like that, but so you see there's this assumption on Professor Dave's part that being able to see these different poles depending on which way you're facing on the Earth, that's their pretty much go-to proof, and there was just this inability to perceive it in any other way. It was just that's and so this is where you see this kind of very kind of single-minded and frankly bigoted approach. Understood that it makes sense. It's okay, all right, I can picture that in my mind, but that's what we have to do all the time, isn't it? And of course it relies on many other assumptions about the stars being distant, but yeah, as I said, this debate of theirs diverged into the nature of stars and what they're made of, and spectropsy or whatever you call it, looking at the stars and seeing what kind of gases and other elements are being produced by the stars, because you can analyze their light. Things like that are not, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's okay. You can say that we can see that stars are producing this, that, or the other. That's fine. But it's of course the distance, and I suppose another thing that really, this is it. Professor Dave was really offended that you, and it's the usual thing that you see. There's this assumption that people questioning whether we live on a globe are actually denying or ignoring or just stupid because they don't get the explanations. It's like, no, it's not that we don't get it. It's like, okay, great, we got a picture, we got a bunch of explanations, but there's a whole bunch of other, just as crapping in a different toilet in Asia or Europe, or speaking a different language, there's always another way that you can interpret it. So who's more stupid? The person that can only think one explanation offers all their proof, or the person that thinks, well, there's a bunch of explanations that you could make up, so let's go about proving it. Yeah, again, we never have this, okay, even if there's an assumption that we live on a spinning ball Earth, there's no attempt to verify that with any measure of curvature. Again, the scientific thing. Yeah. So and again, that was the thing. It was because there's always poking going on and distraction. You end up with this argument that gets nowhere. But this really is the thing that, again, as I said, it's understandable that you can you have a certain way of thinking, and it's very rigid. But that in itself, if you can only think that way, that is in itself is proof that we have been conditioned, brainwashed to think a certain way, to believe certain things, with all the explanations. And any bit of research into, just look up Copernicus and what he did to formulate the heliocentric model, a whole bunch of assumptions. And yes, it's very smart, it's very clever to put these things together. And of course, once that model came out, the next few centuries or whatever were spent trying to explain or trying to prove it and find explanations. So of course, the explanation of gravity comes along, and the whole thing about gravity is quite funny, because it's very clever in the way that it covers a lot of bases. Whether you want to think of it as space-time bending, which is kind of, again, it's just conceptual. Time is a concept. You can't bend time. You can't really bend space. Yeah, it's just an insane concept. But the idea that, you know, the greater the mass, the more the attractive force, but it's all relative to distance, and you know, you've got a lot of mathematics in there, which is kind of viable in regular physics as well, but it's all just conceptual. It's all just conceptual, and of course, all these concepts hold these things together. And you can take any life situation you like, where you get the wrong end of the stick. You know, you've heard things, you've seen things, and you put two and two together, and you create this story in your head. And somehow you find out that, oh, that's not actually what happened. And you just hadn't thought that there was some other scenario going on. It just didn't occur to you. There's no way you could have thought about it because you just weren't informed. Yeah. But the point is, of course, is to recognize that, and, you know, step back from that. It's very important. So another thing to understand, again, for in this flat Earth debate, you know, Professor Dave is constantly going on about your pizza Earth, your pizza Earth. Of course, this is just another assumption, another blind alley, really. And this is the thing: people are desperate for an alternative explanation, but the whole thing with a lot of us truth seekers is that we're not trying to advocate any particular model. Yes, there are certain things that you can look at. Of course, I'm sure for a lot of us, we're looking into this kind of ice wall ring, you know, and you can perceive it like that. Why not? Yeah. And let's just take that star rotation thing for an example, because then there's an argument, for example, that okay, you look at a flat Earth map, or the common one that's shown with the North Pole and everything spreading out from there. Now, that's again, it works in many ways, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how the Earth looks. But you have obviously what you'll have is people facing south in different directions. Let's say they're in South Africa and South America or Australia, and they're looking south. They're going to see stars. Now, a common argument is, and it's a very blanket statement, that, well, someone looking south, whether they're in Australia or wherever, they're going to see these southern stars. Now, for me, I can see both. I can see the North Star, and I can see it's right near the horizon, and I can see the Southern Cross as well from Phuket. And yes, I watch it do that. Or maybe for you guys, it's going to be like that, yeah. Kind of do this thing across the horizon, yeah. But what these globers always forget to think about is the sun. Where's the sun at that time? And even if one might be able to see the same southern stars from two different locations at around the same time, those stars are going to appear in different places in the sky because of that person. You know, it's all about perspective, yeah. I was just a second. Yeah. Here's a pizza dish Earth, for example. Okay, so you've got your, for example, you've got your North Pole there. Let's say this is kind of an equator thing here, and around here you've got your south. So, of course, the argument might be that you've got someone facing south here, and someone facing south here, and they're going to see the same southern stars. Well, yeah, if you're beyond the equator, and if you're anywhere beyond the equator or around the equator, you will see those southern stars and less of the northern stars, simply because you're further away from the north and closer to the south. Yeah? But yeah, okay, the direction thing, well, again, it depends. If you're looking this way, for example, consider where the sun is. If you're looking this way at night time, well, the sun's not over here, is it? The sun's over here, or somewhere around here. Yeah? Okay. And there's another thing worth thinking about. Yeah? If I hold this up, if I just do this, for example, you try and do this, yeah? Depending on where you look at it, it's going to appear to rotate in a different way. Just depends what part you're looking at and which direction you're looking at. So basically, something can rotate in one way, but the apparent rotation will depend on which way you're looking at it. Yeah, that's just one of those things. Yeah. My point there is not to advocate a pizza Earth. Okay, I'm just saying how you've got to think in those extra steps. You can't just say, oh, well, we wouldn't see the southern stars at the same time, or the same southern stars in different locations. Well, you would, but your view would be different, and it would depend whether it's light or dark with you. Yeah, it's simple stuff. And so again, the fact that you see different stars at different times of year is simply because, and actually if you think about it, this is a good proof that it's not the Earth that's moving, is simply because the sun has its rate of rotation. So obviously wherever the sun is at any given time, you won't be able to see the stars. And this is a point that, for example, Professor Dave was knocking on David Weiss's thing, kind of assuming that David Weiss didn't understand that you can't see stars in the daytime. Well, of course, that's the thing. You can't see stars in the daytime. So that's why you'll see different stars at different times of the year above a level Earth, because it just depends where the sun is. So things are rotating at different rates. If it was just the Earth rotating and going around the sun, and changing our view of the stars and the moon. Okay, there's other explanations for the moon, but if you're saying that the Earth, the globe Earth rotating, is causing us to have a different view of the sun and stars, changing, making us see sunrises and sunsets and star rises and sunsets. Well, the thing is, that doesn't make sense because there's two different things going on. The sun is doing its thing, and it has its time, and the stars are doing their thing, and they have their time. So it's like, in a way, you've got these 3-4 things, all different things doing. It's like if you can imagine a bunch of cogs or something, or circles. They're all just going at their own pace. And so, in my mind, that's a way you can interpret all these observations. Nothing changes about what we see. Everything is there for us to see in the sky, and it's very predictable, and in that sense it's very scientific. Yes, you can predict when you will see certain stars, or when you will see the sun in the sky at what time, and direction and all that stuff, and throughout the year. No problem, no debate with that. Nothing changes, absolutely nothing changes. What it is a matter of interpretation, and being able to detach from what we've been taught to think or taught to perceive, and seeing if you can perceive it any other way. And I would say that if you have the ability to hold 2 or 3 or 4 different models in your mind and say, well, that works. That I wouldn't you say that's a more reasonable disposition? Wouldn't you say that's just kind of more open-minded and there's nothing wrong with that, rather than being offended if someone doesn't think your way? Okay, so this is the big issue we have a lot of the time with your anti-flat earthers, is they're offended. You can't deny all this science that these heroes that we've elevated to this status. Yeah, and that's why you end up realizing that what we're dealing with is a religious cult, is because it's the same as, for example, Muslims and Christians. Yeah, if you go and do something bad to a Quran, the Muslim's going to be very offended. You might not understand how offended they would be, but it's because of what they've been taught, their culture and everything. And it might go for the same for a Bible. If you did something, or a cross or something, and if you did something, taboo, there's things you could do to a cross or a Bible that would be very, very offensive. Now, yes, you could argue that it's up to that person whether they are offended or not, but it's also up to the other person to kind of, to not cause offence. There's no need to cause offence if you, just because you don't agree with their point of view. Yeah. Am I making sense there? Yeah. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Hello. Oh, we got a whole bunch of people in. Thank you, David Banner. Squirrel Sniper, hi. Old Nick, hello. V Thomas, hello. Yasmin. Why do we see the same stars forever? Good point, Yasmin. Yeah, we're not whizzing millions and millions of miles through space. Yeah, Squirrel Sniper. What's that? Squirrel Sniper saying, Nick, put both arms out and rotate them in a circle around you in the same direction. Left arm in. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Good one. Yeah, that's it. And I remember looking at that. I was grabbing CDs and looking at them. And okay, if I'm looking at it from this way, it's going that way. And then fans and things like that. Yeah, these are everyday things that you can look at. And this is what's so exciting. This is because you've opened up these channels. You've opened up this new way of thinking. And you are on this voyage of rediscovery. It's very nice. It's very energizing. It's very refreshing. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it either, because you're really kind of getting more in tune, yeah, with paying attention in class. Yeah. A lot of V Thomas, good point. Global believers who don't know what heliocentric means. I must admit that was a new word for me when I started looking into flat Earth. And again, this was what's so exciting. You're learning a lot of new things. Yeah. So it's certainly not ignorance. It's not ignorance. It's in fact understanding the story and seeing all these explanations. And then, well, okay, you give one explanation over here, but then a different explanation over here. So a really good example of that is the Foucault's pendulum thing. Now, in my early days, what a lot of globe earthers or anti-flat earthers could have done to kind of put me off the scent, if you like, was to maybe, for example, admit that the Foucault's pendulum explanations of the pendulum swinging freely, just going in one direction above a rotating Earth underneath. Again, this is as like the star trails, this is cherry picked as a proof. Oh, the Foucault's pendulum. And again, there's this assumption that if you stuck it at the North Pole, it would rotate wildly. You just to kind of, I'm trying to look for something circular, but it doesn't matter. I'll use my fist. I think you understand the idea of the Foucault's pendulum is that if it's on the North Pole or somewhere near, the pendulum's going back and forth like this, and of course the Earth's rotating underneath it. Yeah. So the idea is that if you had a pendulum on the equator going backwards and forwards, you wouldn't see the same kind of rotation that you would up here. That's the assumption. So you're basically saying that a freestanding object, or a free object above the Earth's surface, allows the Earth to rotate underneath it. Now, this was an experiment or an assumption made before aircraft were invented and things like that. And it's not like there are Foucault's pendulums all over the world anyway. It's not that that's been extensively tested. It's just a model, and you're stupid if you can't see the model. They say, well, no, you can see the model. You get it. It's okay. You're swinging a pendulum above a rotating Earth. Then okay, that it's going to knock down pins as it goes around. I get it. We all get it. We understand the principle there, but that's just one explanation. But of course, it doesn't fit with reality. And this was, of course, a huge problem I had. Well, not a problem, but it was one of those things. You just want an answer to the question. You ask pilots, do you compensate for any kind of Coriolis? Is the Earth spinning beneath you? And you get all kinds of, oh, you're stupid. It's like, well, actually, ultimately, no. Firing bullets and stuff, it's an idea, it's a concept, a theory, that you've got to fire a bullet, but that doesn't happen. You fire a bullet at where you want to hit the thing, and the same as you travel in the direction that you want to hit the thing. But if it was as described by the Foucault's pendulum explanation, then flying would be a totally different story. You'd actually take off and head towards the place you want to go, and know that it's coming round to you. The times would be different, and you could do all sorts of amazing things. You could fly over and across or around the Earth and in no time, if that same rule applied in reality to the Foucault's pendulum, but it doesn't. But then, of course, there's other explanations. Oh, well, you're moving with the atmosphere. Well, okay, that's an explanation as to why, but it doesn't. It still goes against the Foucault's pendulum proof. So this is where the cognitive dissonance comes in. For the open-minded truth seeker, there's a disparity. There's okay, hang on. They're telling me that the Foucault's pendulum is a proof that the Earth spins beneath objects. And so you compare that with reality, modern-day reality, which is more demonstrable, more measurable, more real, more, but then you just get this old there's that, and that should be enough. That should be enough for anyone who's got an open and questioning mind to go, yeah, you're right there, you got a point. So there's, well, which one are you going to, it's just one of those things that I went through, and I'm sure most of you have been through, where you compare these things. But at the same time, if you talk about aircraft going around a globe, and you actually demonstrate or you illustrate this idea of aircraft going around a globe, it looks ridiculous. It looks like you're insane for thinking. But we're just trying to kind of put this point across that this is what you believe. You believe that we fly around a globe, and you end up, and of course then you say something like upside down, and we know that means that being on a globe, there's this assumption that down is always towards the center of the globe. So there's all of a sudden there's no upside down. You can be anywhere you want. Again, that's just an excuse. That's just allowing you to have your model. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's see. Let's just see if this is. I can't honestly tell if I'm how my stream is looking. So, all right, I'm trying to go down through the chat here. Don't see any emails coming in yet. Again, you're welcome to send me an email and we'll try having a discussion. No? Let's have a look through the chat here. Tony Whitcomb, and yet construction cranes don't move unless moved by wind or only a push. Vividness 420 at the beginning of the year had a series of freaky dreams about how we are literally living in the iris part of a giant's eye. Yikes. Who knows? I mean, the possibilities are endless, aren't they? This is it. You can. One thing about this is the freedom to you have emancipated yourself from the chains of this this ridiculous model of gravity and things. Yeah. And of course, yes, you can look. You can look at real life. You can look at things under a microscope, and that's their world. And they could be in a teardrop or something, or yes, they could be in an eye, or they could be in an anus. Yeah. That's their world, and they're never going to know any different. This is another way of, again, there's this understanding or this acceptance that we don't know where we are. We could be anywhere, and what we see is a micro and a macro universe, yeah. And we can see that these individual universes exist, yeah. And we could just be living in this whatever. We don't know. We just don't know. And of course, the question of where does it end just becomes something that we can't answer. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to point out about the whole star thing was that, yeah, for example, you can create a star in a jar, a sonar luminescence, right? Where you can sound frequency, the right bubbles. You don't need any extreme pressures or temperatures or anything like that. Nothing nuts at all. You just point these frequencies at a point in water, and you get a blazing light of bubble. The air start, and so there's a wonderful scientific demonstration of what stars could be. And so. Again, there are many alternatives. Often science has the answer staring us in the face, yeah, but we can't see it, yeah. Floating on one man and his detector floating on a raft of giant tree remains. Old Nick's simulation. What's that vividness? It wasn't really nightmarish, but I must admit, it did freak me out for a minute. Okay, I can imagine, yeah. Full exploration, David. Well, yes. But do you know what I sometimes... Of course, that would be great. And that's, exploration. Yeah, if you're going to go to space, then why try go across the pond? But just personally, all of this is a personal exploration. This is what we're doing here. Yeah, we are... we're exploring life, and obviously life is a very precious thing. It's a very magical experience. So really, while I would advocate exploration in all directions, fine, there's also something telling me that in some ways that's futile. Even if you do get to a point of no return, or that you can't go any further, maybe, who knows? Again, we don't know. If we know that there are these imaginary barriers and fences have been put in place, but really, how much better would it be? I've come to Asia. It's a much different and better life in some ways than it was in the UK. But I also yearn for my old life as well. But all of that is about, it's an internal thing. There's this journey, this inner journey, and that's what we're all on, really, isn't it? In some ways, to be yearning to reach the stars is a form of suffering, because where's it going to get you? What answers is it going to give you? And I can also understand as well that, like we've all, I'm sure, as we were kids, you're very excited about the potential of having some answers in the near future to some of life's most fundamental questions, like where are we? Where did we come from? Where did it start? How did it begin? Can we prove these theories? And of course, there would maybe be this Again, we're on a bit of a pedestal because we feel we've evolved to a certain point. We're at the pinnacle. Whereas, to be honest, what I see this as, or this experience as, is it goes on for millennia, billions of years, whatever. It doesn't matter. Maybe there are changes, things happen over those billions of years or eons or whatever, but it's always the same, really. We're always dealing with the same thing, suffering. We're dealing with this suffering. We're dealing with desires and delusion and distractions. We're dealing with. So I don't necessarily think that we're at some kind of pinnacle. Maybe we've come in a certain direction of evolution and development in that terms, but really, it's always going to be something. Of course, life is very unique and diverse for everyone. That's great. It can't. To be honest, I mean, is there anything? What more would you want? What more would you want than the diversity, the excitement, the craziness, the danger of this life? Yeah, the fight or flight, the survival. Yeah. But this is a thing, you have people clinging on to these ideas and concepts, understandably so, because without them, we are lost at sea. It's very terrifying. It's like, oh my God, it's funny because you go through this phase of feeling alone, and that because you are. We all get to a point in our lives where you think, okay, there's more of a realization that, oh shit, I'm on my own here. Yeah. This is it's just something you have to deal with. Yeah. And often we try our best to avoid being alone with our own thoughts. Distractions, TV, internet, phones, what have you. Hello, Momi. Thanks, David. I saw a funny thing the other day. They're putting internet access on. Is it Mount Kilimanjaro? I'm not sure. My immediate thought was, can't you use just satellite phones, GPS, and things like that? Obviously not. You need things up there. Yeah. So that was my thing about, that's the Foucault's pendulum, yeah? It's just one of those things. Thank you very much, one man. Yeah. And so, of course, the idea that it's backed by science. Again, this is the predictive nature. And being able to predict things. This is part of the scientific method, and this is how it's passed off as science. And I remember having this argument with what was it, Conspiracy Cats? Yeah. He kept bringing up that it's the predictive nature. The fact that we can predict things is science, and that proves that it's a science fact. And so, yes, the scientific method, it's basically, you make an observation. So you see that we see sunsets and sunrises, and we see the stars at certain times. So, okay, I'm going to now come up with a theory, a model, based on, and make predictions. And then if those predictions come true, then that validates my model. Boom, there you go, I've got my proof. Nothing about actually finding the measurable proof of curvature or bendy water. Yeah. In fact, if you really think about it, it's so funny, really. Waterfalls. The fact that waterfalls exist, the fact that locks exist, just the way water behaves. It's amazing, really. It's funny how you could go down all these avenues, but you eventually come back to that. Water flowing, going down waterfalls and things like that, is proof that the water's not held onto a globe. That's it, because water shouldn't do that on a globe. It's higher elevation down to lower elevation. It's like, well, no, but regardless of whether you think there's no up or down on an Earth in space, there is still a lower elevation if you have water starting off at a certain point and flowing down. Okay, it's going down to a lower elevation, but somewhere further along down the curve is going to be a lower elevation compared to that point. And this is reality. That is reality. Regardless of how you may be able to wrap your head around a different idea and kind of say, oh well, no, but down is towards the center of the earth, and etc. Again, it's a concept that is understood. It's not difficult to understand, but it's pretty stupid to see that reality doesn't reflect that assumption and still stick to the assumption rather than reality. That's the thing. Yeah, and that was a defining moment for myself. I'm sure it was for a lot of you guys too. Yeah, there's there's this point where you, sorry, just wreck the place. There's this point where you realise that I see. Okay, that's all concepts, and this is reality. This is as much as we can grasp from reality. It doesn't give us any more answers. It doesn't give us any. There's a lot of alternative explanations we can imagine and perceive and model. Great, okay, but we are, what we realize, what we know in reality is very, very limited. Yeah, so yeah, again, going to that point about full exploration. Really, what we need is full exploration of us, of humanity, of consciousness. Yeah, I think I discussed this the other day. Science has no idea what consciousness is, but it's consciousness is what's asking those questions. Yeah, consciousness is the thing. It is our experience. Yeah, but we don't know what it is. We're having an experience and we don't know what it is. But we can observe the experience, and we can observe our own bigoted nature, and we can observe how we can adapt to that, and we can think about that. Yeah, and we can make improvements in that way. And yeah, okay, I'm just looking at the chat again. One man and his detector, Earth rising, makes most sense to me, but the bigger picture from that thought is a bizarre one. Earth rising. Thanks, old Nick. Okay, Night of Round Fable. Right. Okay. Yeah, nice one. That's great to see some old faces, and it's lovely to be doing this a bit more. I will be a bit more up on this, but yeah, I'm sure most of you watching this have, you're on that journey of truth, and it's only because you started questioning yourself, or the ability to question yourself, that you were able to get on this path. Yeah. Glenn Souch, there's no up or down on a globe, there's just in or out. Yeah. So, we see these concepts playing out all over the place. With the whole the tea injections that they've been offering, and yeah, sorry to kind of hear that you've got thousands of people dying unexpectedly or mysteriously. Yeah. And again, we had, we saw this go on with the the recent turning the common cold into something that was apparently all of a sudden after decades of this kind of acceptance that will never really cure the common cold, suddenly they'd identified a certain common cold and come up with a thingy for it, a cup of tea for it, and now a lot of people are dying after taking that cup of tea. And I think a lot of people are putting two and two together, but the media would like to pretend that no one is, or they obviously have to keep up that narrative of it all being a mystery. I saw it in the Daily Mail the other day. I wonder if I can bring this up actually. No, I've lost it now. A story about some rock star in the UK, and the doctor said, yeah, it was a result of the Astra. Malky Hendry, The Great Switcheroo, yes, great video, go watch it. Vortex Puppy, yeah. And it is, the whole perspective thing. I distinctly remember my perspective classes in school, or technical drawing. And it was one of those classes where I was putting my hand up because I'd already read about it and I was already doing it, the whole horizon thing. And that's just something that's ignored. And again, you just look at the model, look at let's just draw it. Let's just draw a little. Yeah. Stickman, I know. This simple scenario where you're on a globe and you're looking straight ahead. There is nowhere that the horizon would be at your eye level. So this just, reality debunks this idea that this is what we're doing on a globe. Yeah. And that's, again, the observation's perspective. And you can't even get, that's the thing, you can't even get a glober to agree that, if you're standing under a street light and then you walk away from it, that street light is going to go down and down, and also the path is going to come up. It's like, that's reality, that's how we see the world. And again, it's fascinating to look into. Lev Kung Fu, Shaolin, it doesn't have to be Globers. Anyone's welcome to join. Yeah. But I'm not getting any emails so far from anyone, I don't think. So what I might do is maybe set up another one for Sunday, and try and do a bit of a heads up first. So I'm struggling now to see. To be honest, I'm not seeing my own stream here. Let's just have a look. No, I can't. I can't tune into it myself. It's weird. So, does anyone want to make a Squirrel Sniper? What's that? Your wife mentioned about the phone call from the moon to the White House, the White Office landline phone with President Nixon. How I laughed again. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's one of those things where, okay, I mean, of course, you can. To be honest, again, that's a bit single-minded to not be able to imagine how they might have done that. I mean, there's an explanation. Okay, well, they connected to the, they connected the phone to the feed, to the whatever. That's certainly possible to do in terms of someone's on a radio and they're talking to someone on a phone. I'm sure they could have, done that. But yeah, I mean, it's all just ridiculous anyway, really, isn't it? Yeah, having that communication on the moon. I mean, it's difficult enough. If you talk to amateur radio people, one of their, if you can bounce signals off the moon, then that's an amazing achievement. Yeah. So, really, really take some fine tuning there, and of course, all these things are supposed to be moving as well. Again, this is what comes with satellites. You look at satellites and all that stuff there. What was I going to say? There's something in particular about satellites. I mean, I personally don't deny the existence of satellites. When I was back in the UK, I did see a lot, actually, lights going across the sky in different directions, and they weren't aircraft. They were the kind of they were high up. And they very similar to stars. They were moving across. I don't see that happening here ever. above the equator. I do see some very strange things. I've seen all sorts of weird lights in the sky, streaks of light across the sky that you wouldn't necessarily call meteors. I don't know what they are. Yeah, sometimes it's a white streak and it's going in a straight line. Other times it's going across. It's not going down. It's not coming toward. But there are others that do kind of they maybe seem to be going down. But and that's the wonderful thing about being here in Phuket is not so much light pollution, but when you get out into the sea, oh my goodness, it's amazing. I remember coming back on a long-tail boat from another island, a smaller island, and oh wow, it just blows you away. Just being off the land in the water, the view of the sky is so much more intense. It's nuts. And it is awesome. It is wondrous. That, of course, it makes all of us wonder where we are and what we're doing. But yeah, think of a fish looking up through the water and it sees lights going across. It's what's it going to know? What's it ever going to be able to really find out? Yeah, or might die trying. Yeah. So. Mr. B. Silver, you don't see those satellites moving in the night sky at the equator. No, I don't. I do remember it was really bizarre because I saw this very bright light make its way across the sky. And I watched it go all the way into the distance. And it was, when again, that the height and the speed it appears to be traveling, I couldn't work out. Now, I mean, it looked like it was generating its own light. It wasn't like reflected light or something like that, I didn't know whether it could be the ISS or whatever. I just watched it. I wish I had my phone on it. I just didn't. I was at the market, no one else really saw it, but it was going across the sky like that. Bright white light, yeah. And as I said, other times the ones go phew. And I've seen kind of clusters. I don't know what they are. It's like a bunch of lights that didn't really have any, and they're moving across the sky like that. What's that one? Bjorn? One object is moving at 1,000 miles an hour and the other is moving in the opposite direction at 500 miles an hour. It doesn't matter about the atmosphere is doing other than trail wind or headwinds. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, nice one. Nicely said, Bjorn. Freshwater diver. Okay, hello. Practice righteousness. Hello. What's that? Celine Leon. And when he invented mosquitoes. Must have had a bad day. J-Love, hello. Alright. Okay. One man, I think what we are seeing from the governments right now is their final act. The show is soon finished and they are leaving again, finally. Again, yes and no. These things have a way of perpetuating themselves, Again, it's like... who knows? It's difficult to say, I think. Sometimes because if you have that kind of the end is nigh kind of attitude, then in some ways that's this. I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult. It's again these things are difficult to predict. But you might be right. But then again, we come to this point where for those of us that can see what's going on, you can just like you can watch a sheepdog herding sheep, you can watch that happening. There's still tons of sheep that are always going to get shepherded. It's just the way they are. Yeah, it's always going to be that way. That's why this whole experience, the way we and it is down to conditioning. We're all, in fact, just off topic a bit. I've been watching some good videos by Lad Bible, and they interview these people like bank robbers and what have you, all these different people that have done maybe done time in prison or ex-gangster and things like that, and you hear their life story, and there's always a backstory that makes you understand or appreciate how and why they became the person they were. And there's also times that they got to a point where they might have even tried themselves. Okay, I'm gonna get up the drugs, or I'm going to do that, and then they try to go on the straight and narrow, and then they get kicked down. Something happens. There's these people in authority do something that just kind of makes them think, "Oh, screw you then." Yeah. Was that one man talking to Celine Dion? It's almost like they're playing out the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's just a jump to the left. Yeah. Tinfoil Hatter, timing is apparently very precise, proving nothing's really going on anywhere. Yeah, astrologically speaking, I mean, right? Interesting. Well put there. Trinity 4, hello. Where are you, mate? Are you still in SA? Yeah. Predict good outcomes, live good life without needs for flock flowing. Yeah. So, Mr. B. Silver, apparently they're reflecting the sunlight. They don't have any lights on them. Maybe that's why you can't see in the equator. The sun's angle isn't right. I understand. Okay, Mr. B. Silver. Perhaps you'd like to email me, Mr. B. Silver. Have you got the ability to, have a chat? It would be a Google Hangout. We could have a chat, and you could say your bit. Yeah. But I understand. I understand what you're saying. But then again, I saw something that would, as I was saying after that, is that I saw a light in the sky that you could maybe assume was the ISS. And in that case, it would be wrong, because there's me in the dark above the equator, and being on a globe, those satellites shouldn't be reflecting the light. Yeah. But the thing is, what you got to think is that those lights in the sky that I saw above the UK, but not in, I don't see here. We're still talking about lights, that, or if you're saying that something's not being reflected, well, the sun is huge. I mean, they could, as long as they're far enough away from the Earth, then they'll, the light will hit them, they'll get reflected. Yeah. What's that, Malky? I've met many a gangster who tried to change but committed suicide through non-acceptance from their others. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because once you're in again, this is it. It's very difficult. I think the thing is, every single one of us, every single individual, no matter what we're going through, we all experience this. We all have opportunities in our lives to reflect on what we did. And sure, we can get wrapped up in guilt, but that's useful, because then you take action. You feel compelled to do something. Of course, that guilt can make you go into this quagmire of inaction. But surely, if you think about the experiences we have in those respects, then that's what life's all about. That's that's it. That's what we're supposed to do here. That's good enough for me. That's a good enough explanation for me. Doesn't really necessarily matter what's going on out there or up there. Yeah, we know the politics and all the other stuff is a distraction, and we know this kind of this aiming for the stars is a bit of a distraction. Someone like Elon Musk, you can understand his desire. He just wants to achieve things. He wants to do things. And he wants to get up to the stars. He wants to find out what it's all about. And he's just like any one of us that wants to find out what's going on. But ultimately, it's an inner journey. You find out things along the way that affect you personally and affect others, and you have to think about your effect on others. And we have to learn about each other's cultures, and we have to learn, these things. So Uh, we're certainly not ready to meet aliens because we can't even get on with our own neighbours. Yeah, it's insane. Tinfoil Hatter, so-called orbits should have been ruined a long time ago if they were real. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's funny how everything is kind of finally balanced out with orbits. Selling Leon, so we can expect Boris to top himself sometime. I'm sure he's. Yeah. Trinity. Oh, Trinity. You got back 4 months ago. Currently in France. Okay. I know you have, but many others may want to research electromagnetic universe. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Nice one. Yeah. Electromagnetism. Again. Yeah. The electromagnetism is something that makes a lot of sense with the tides. Yeah. Salt water, yeah, and you just, again, this is something you can demonstrate in reality. Salt water can be repelled or moved with magnets and electromagnetism. It can all work together. It's yeah, and these are very much part of our real physical existence. There is magnetism, there is electricity, there is electromagnetism, if you like, going on all around us all the time. It definitely has it's a massive integral part of life on Earth. Yet that's ignored. Oh no, the tides couldn't be anything to do with that. No. It's the moon. What's that? Freshwater TSA, freshwater diver Phuket was close with him. Brilliant mind. He passed away almost a year ago. I'm sorry, who are you talking about there? Who passed away? Turn up your volume. I don't know if you're tuning in, Anthony Barr. I don't know if you're tuning in early or late. Yeah. Oh, Celine Leon. Wow. Naive of you, Nick. You think Elon is not laughing at you? No, I just. He's whatever. You know, he's a smart businessman. Laughing at me. He's just on his own. I mean, I'm not saying that he's just been, because as far as I understand, he had whatever company he had, whether it was Tesla or not, I'm not sure. But he got the budget. He got billions in budget from NASA. So my point is that he's still ruled by NASA. They still control everything. They got the purse strings, and all they're doing is handing this over to someone else. And they're still in control, just as NASA is in control of satellite launches in other countries. They say, and Neil deGrasse Tyson has gone off on this. So we go to these countries and say, you want GPS, you want satellites, you come to us, we'll sort you out. And of course, all they're doing is it's just a gravy train. So don't get me wrong. There's it's just because people, ultimately someone like Elon Musk who's still got to go through this personal journey, trying to get to the stars. Doesn't matter, but he was saved. His company was saved. It was okay, billions of dollars, yeah, I'll take that, of course, yeah. So he's just another, yeah. You can't deny that people like that are smart. People don't, people become rich because they're smart. Yes, tides do coincide with moon phases. So what? Yeah, I don't, it's like, again, this is part, in my personal journey, yeah, I'm not angry at these people anymore. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care that all this money is going to put in there, because I'm not dependent on that necessarily. Yeah. And I think it's good if you can let go of that as well. Yeah. Because what's the point in playing the blame game? Yeah. Okay, they lie. Or these people are maybe deceived themselves and they perpetuate the lie. So what? Leave them to it. Because that happens all over the place, yeah? That happens with everything and anything. The oil companies, this, that, the other, yeah? The chemical producers, the geoengineering people. They're all doing terrible, stupid things, yeah? but ultimately they won't win. Yes, they're greedy buggers, and of course the thing is they rely on other people's greed. They rely on other people's hopes and aspirations. And the only thing you can do, and we saw this with the whole tea drinking thing when people were lining up for their tea with the Rona. Yeah, people are there, really good intentioned people with megaphones, trying to educate them, saying, "Hey, look." They're trying to actually tell them, repeat, the things the side effects and things like that. Would they listen? No way. Their minds are made up. There is nothing you can do. So there's no point in being angry with these people that are on their own path, their own journey. Yeah? So what if they're wealthy? It doesn't mean they're taking money from you. That's a delusion because, yeah? Let go. Let go of that. Someone's got I think someone's just emailed me. Hang on a second. All right, 5 messages all of a sudden. Okay. Hang on a second. You've sent me. Oh, and you've sent me. Not sure. Okay. I'm not sure. You've sent me WhatsApp and things like that. I'm not sure. Okay. The question for live stream is: what do you think about infinite terra firma maps? Okay, infinite terra firma maps. All right, Alvin. Yeah, like all of this stuff. We could be given maps. What can we prove? So yeah, I think they're great, but how far can you prove it? So then, Leon, let go of what? The fact that hang on, yeah, because we're having a debate here, I suppose, in that sense. Hang on, where are you? So then, Leon, let go of what? The fact that these parasites are deluding mankind, deceiving children's mind. This is not about anger. Well, yeah, but what can you do? What can you do about it? Yeah. Sure, but the parasites are deluding mankind. It's up to you whether you get deluded. The same as what I was talking about being offended. Professor Dave being offended because you seem to ignore us flat earthers seem to ignore science. Well, you being offended is up to you. The thing is, I accept that there are all sorts of people in this world. There are psychos, and of course it's up to us. It's just like being in the jungle. It's up to yes, sure. If you see someone in a bad situation, you want to help out, and we do whenever we do. You see someone drowning or being attacked, you go and help them. Yeah, absolutely, I totally agree there. And that's what's driven me as well. Don't get me wrong. Again, my drive, my passion for doing this is to try and at least help people see that there's other ways of thinking about this, and you don't have to believe these deceivers. But there's also this acceptance that people will believe what they want to believe, and it's the whole thing about whether it's a drug addict or a cult member, they have to be ready. You can't pull them out, you can't drag them out. Yeah, sure, it's horrible, it's frustrating, it's it makes you angry to see it, or to you maybe angry is not the right word, but it's a mixture of emotions, right? But you can also kind of, that's the thing, that's part of this journey, is kind of working that out, yeah? Seeing that for yourself. And again, going back to those stories, for example, on Lad Bible, I was listening to one about a bank robber who put on a burqa, he robbed a bank with a burqa. You felt the guy was just an asshole, but then you hear his background, and he was sexually abused since he was like before 5 years old, and horrible parents, and then foster homes where he was also abused by just a terrible upbringing. And it's like, well, no wonder. But he actually managed to change his life around. He, even through a couple of prison terms and still feeling angry at the state for everything nasty they'd done, yeah, eventually he was able to let go of that. You have to let go. You have to let go of anger. Anger doesn't do, again, I know you're not necessarily saying you're angry, but playing the blame game. There's no one to blame but yourself if you're sucked into something. And sure, it's wonderful if you can help people out, but you'll know from experience that some people don't want to be helped. And it's just they're doing their thing. They're having their journey. Just as I understand that Elon Musk is having his journey, Bill Gates is having his journey, yeah, and all these people that do affect our lives, but don't have to. They don't have to, yeah. They do because of the control they've managed to get, and the games they play, and the influence they have, yeah, and the way they sucker people in, yeah. But you can have some peace of mind just knowing that you're not a sucker, yeah. I'm sure you have to deal with, a lot of idiots around you and people that are, again, offended that you're not going along with the official narrative. Yeah. J Love, yeah, you put on a white coat, people will listen, yeah. Tinfoil Hatter, I'm willing to try and live on a globe if only it were possible. Yeah, again, absolutely fine. If there's some proof, again, this is what we see all the time, isn't it? Just okay, find a way to verify this assumption that if you're on a globe, I'm up here, okay, and you're up here and I'm here, okay. Find a way to verify that rather than just saying, oh, it's because the way the stars look. Yeah, okay, that's your theory based on the stars. Now find a way to, measure this curve, for example, or show that this guy's down is this way and this guy's down is that way. Just do that. Find a way to measure it, not just interpret it. Yeah. TSA, Phuket, what can you do about it? Study Effie and Corky Quakebrush. He shows an action about what you're talking about. Okay, never heard of Corky Quakebrush. Okay. Rogue Mandrill. Yeah, thank you. My early videos were very different to this now, isn't it, really? So, yeah, I mean, they take a long time to put together, though. I just don't have the time these days. I've just got, I don't want to really talk too much about it, but I get up very early to get my kids off to school and then do other stuff, and then I get back and I'm working, but then I'm working until 11 o'clock at night. So the Monday to Fridays is just like, nothing good. I just don't have the time for putting those kinds of videos together anymore. Yeah. So yeah, J Love, your heart and soul hurts for humanity. It's painful. Absolutely. But that's a form of suffering as well. Again, we don't know. We have no idea why certain people suffer certain things. But what I would think or assume is that it's amazing what people can go through and survive and come out. This is it again. We're referring to those interviews. It's like, wow, you went through that and you came out. You did become a bad person or whatever because of it, but then you came out and you turned things around. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Maybe that's what we're all here for. Maybe this, who knows? And the whole thing about what kind of pain and things we experience, disabilities or this and that. It's just, wow. It's so difficult to know. Is that karma? Are we, even if we say it's karma, are we placing too much importance on ourselves? If you see an insect with half its legs gone or something, I mean, do you feel as sorry as you would do for a person in that sense? Maybe you do, yeah. But that's the thing. This place is full of horror and beauty, and it's only when you see the horror that you can kind of react to it. You could be blissfully unaware of everything that goes on. But yes, I mean, this aching for humanity is very real for a lot of us. Yeah, for sure. but and it's like, yeah, each of us can be inspired. Again, it's amazing what people can do, what they can achieve. Whether you turn around and start helping homeless people or something, or whatever. It's like, we can all do something. There are these things that these opportunities that arise in life. What's that? G-Monk 03. Horoscopes are a great form of scapegoat. Oh, thank you, Glenn. The Jolly Man. Sergey. I think all we need to do is use any opportunity to let people have a chance to research by themselves. Find a number of us will matter and change things. Yeah. Land Rover, always remember you've got to die of something. Keep smoking. Again, isn't that, that's one thing you're certain of in this life is death. And it's funny how we fear it so much. Of course, that anticipation of death is so, wow, it can really mess with your head too. Yeah. Maybe we spend a lot of the time just trying to avoid that. So yeah, obviously in for example the Thai culture, there's a lot of understanding of, or there's acceptance that karma is often involved. But just again, it's often people often do things because they want good karma. And that doesn't work like that either. That again, you don't get anywhere until you really do let go. This is, I think, my point, especially to you, Selene Leon. Yeah, it's like all of this is like, yeah, we've all been filled with the desires to do something to help humanity, or to, it's horrible. But as I said, for example, those guys, those good-hearted guys that were on the megaphones outside the lines of people getting their cups of tea for the Rona, despite their good intention, there's nothing they could do, and they were just what they were doing was, in a way, they were offending those people that were there lined up, and so by doing that, you're creating this extra resistance. When it's the other way around, when it was more they discovered themselves in that process that when it was more one-on-one, and you were just able to kind of like relate to that person or show that person, deal with that person as an individual, then that's when they made a difference. Yeah. And I suppose that's all we can do is we have these opportunities in life to deal with people on a one-on-one basis. Yes, sometimes it's a crowd of people. Sometimes what you do affects millions. Yeah, it really depends. But to have those interactions with people, whoever they are, is important, and it's important to do it right. Yeah. So that's my point about being angry and pointing the finger at all these kind of people. It's like, well, all I'm saying is that I accept that they have a journey. I'm not jealous of their wealth, and I'm not afraid of their plans, because this is a big part of it as well. You've got to understand that while we hear these stories about, they bought up all this land and they're taking over agriculture, doesn't matter. Let the masses eat their GMO foods. Fine. What you got to do is get yourself a garden, grow your own food, or a collective. Yeah, that's how you're going to overcome it. There was, what is it? They've done some GMO thing for plants to grow bigger using or taking more sunlight to enhance their photosynthesis or something like that. But then there's other ways you can do that with electricity. You can use electrodes in the ground and get bigger vegetables. Yeah. We just have to, So this is the thing, it's like, well, if you're kind of like blaming that guy, blaming this guy, for him having a monopoly, well, the only way that you're going to combat that is to have your own thing and not be dependent on their monopoly. But here I am using a Bill Gates machine, yeah? So, you know, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know? And again, you know, you've got to understand that people like that, those people, they're not necessarily evil. Because that's all defined, but they're doing their thing. Yeah, the sun is a wonderful thing. It does its thing. It can warm you, but it can also kill you. Yeah, so can salt water. We need it, but it can kill you. Yeah, everything in life, you know, predators, prey. It's all yin yang, right? So, does that make sense? Yeah. I'm personally bored of, you know, I never felt angry. I know a lot of people do, but I didn't really feel angry that I was lied to by NASA, because by that time you've already realized that this world is full of liars. And the whole thing, you know, whether it's 9/11, Sandy Hook, whatever, all these things, wars, yeah, all these things, they're all based on lies and, you know, aggression that didn't, you know, and fear. But that's the thing. We know these people that study people and psychology. They know how to whip people up into a frenzy. It's up to you to not be a part of that. Yeah. Kim Dawes, I have chickens and can live off their eggs. Nah, nice one. Yeah. Yeah. TSA, you don't have to use Bill's machine. There's a Linux now, and it's good. No need. Yeah, sweet. I'm all again. You know, I. What can I say? Hey, I'm in Thailand. That should give you enough clues. Yeah. I don't need to go and get a signed and sealed copy. Malky Hendry, you can now buy celebrity voiced sat navs. Oh, really? I bought Princess Diana version. Oh, wow. It just keeps saying, but I think we can lose that. Brilliant. Nice one, Malky. Yeah. G-Monk, stick together and plant your ground for reason of example. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Squirrel Sniper, I was never angry. I felt smug for a few days. Smug. It's like, yeah. That's it. Everyone reacts differently, don't they? Yeah. Everyone reacts differently. So, yeah. But again, that's something. Whether or not you felt angry, it's something that can pass. Yeah. But and of course we know. I mean, it's sad. It is sad when people, you know, you see that's how they've managed to convince everyone. But apart from all the science. Anyway, we've been doing this a while. It's been a great chat. The Jolly Man weighed the Earth 5.9 sextillion tons of mass. Yeah. Okay. What's that, Glenn Souch? I felt angry and still do. I think about the struggles my young single mother went through and how she suffers today. I don't have compassion for those who carry on the lies. Sorry. Okay, I understand. Yeah, I understand, Glenn. Have you ever been in the situation where... I'll just recount a situation that I've experienced here. And it's like, okay, when we came to Phuket, met some people that owned a bar kind of place, whatever, kind of bar, restaurant place. No, it was a bar. And so we had this agreement that, okay, my wife was going to come along and open up a kitchen, yeah, and run a bit of a restaurant thing there. It was just a kind of like, it was a friendly thing. I'm doing a recording, yeah. And so we kind of made this promise with these people, and then did it for a couple of days, and then for whatever reason we couldn't go, and then it was just kind of, it dwindled, it was left, and then we went back after a while, and we were feeling very guilty. We were feeling, oh my God, what's he going to say, because we haven't been for a few days and we didn't contact him. But when we arrived, he's like, none of that was in his head. He was just, oh hi, he was just, and there was this genuine, what's the word, love, I suppose, compassion. Yeah. So what I'm highlighting is that, we were feeling guilt because we felt we'd not kept our promise, so we felt bad, we were expecting him to react to that, but that wasn't on his mind. And to me, that was just a wonderful example of basically that, this kind of Thai mentality that is, is not, it's less of an ego thing. It's not based on, oh well, you promised me you'd do this and I was expecting you. It's like none of that. It just wasn't there. None of it was just, oh hi, yeah. And so that made me realize that the compassion immediately dissipates all of those other things, all the other stress, And again, a lot of the time, it's the bad people, the angry people, the people. What they actually need is a bit of compassion. That's the thing. It's just like, sure, but again, you do get people that are just not ready to be helped. They have to be at that point. We're all going through these different stages. There isn't a one answer fits all. Yeah. So but as John Lennon says, for example, or whoever it was, love is really the only answer. That is the answer. It really, because once you understood, Glenn. Okay, Glenn, that's a good point. Yeah, but you can't. You can walk away from strangers, Nick. I can't turn from him. Absolutely understood. Yes, Do you think, though, as a parent, if you're a parent, there's also this, of course, you do your best for your kid, you do what, and you, of course, we can all think of the mistakes that our parents might have made or things they could have done better, but they're usually trying their best, yeah, in what they know, but as a parent myself, what I've tried to do is accept that there's a limit to how I can influence the direction of their life. You brought someone into this world, and they're going to have their own path. They're going to go through suffering. They're going to have their trials and tribulations, yeah. But they're going to go off in some direction that might or might not be destiny. So all we can do is give them that kind of support, and without too much pressure, but enough to kind of, okay, you've got to. You got to work hard if you want to get by. I mean, and just be honest and be do what you say you're going to do and things like that. Uphold certain standards, and you'll probably be okay as long as you can impress that upon them. But you can't. It's like, well, yeah, you're a conduit, really, aren't you? You're a conduit for this new life. Yes, there is a lot of responsibility that comes with that, but there's also a responsibility to let that person be who they're supposed to be. And it might not be anything that you could imagine. It might be something totally different to what you perceived or thought was good for that person. But that's the thing. Often, I'm sure we've all experienced it, where the parents are like pressuring you, the school's pressuring you, and you're just like, yeah, because everyone's got your best interest at heart, but they're going about it the wrong way. They just don't get where you want to go, and so they end up being no help whatsoever to you in many ways. Yeah. YouTube. Ballers are angry, but because they are always trying to pretend they are clever, they always hide their anger. I can see them going pink when they are debating, all calm. Interesting point, YouTube. Yeah, I like that. And again, yeah, I think that comes up with the, when they start calling you names, they assume, they know you're not stupid. They know you're not. In fact, they're probably a little bit jealous for, oh my God, he was able to think of that. He was able to see the obvious Oh yeah, you're right. Horizons, and again, it just comes down to, are you ready to accept that? Yeah. And this is the great thing about, you could debate with a pilot or a scientist. You know that they're only coming from a very narrow. If they're arguing for their globe belief, you know that they're coming from a very narrow point of view. Yeah. And you know why they believe these things, and you understand it. But yeah, it's very, 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 very difficult. So even if you have some kind of a debate, I've just had it recently, just trying to get some guy to agree that reality doesn't fit with the Foucault's pendulum assumption. They won't agree. They'll just change the topic, and because that's just one of those things that creates that cognitive dissonance, and you have to deal with it. Yeah. So. The Jolly Man, they think we're stupid. Don't throw a full flop into the water. Cut it into sections. Best way to... Oh, best way to kill a turtle. All right, Jolly Man. Yeah. What's that, Land Rover? I can skim that crack. Okay. Glenn, thank you for your sentiments. Okay, yeah, thanks. Oh, it's McToon that goes pink, is it, YouTube? Right. Yeah. Anthony Roosevelt. The world sucks so bad you might as well just believe it's flat. Huh. What's that, Anthony? It doesn't even matter what shape it is. Society is so screwed. If we were living on a trapezoid, it would make... Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, good point. And yeah, you could tell them anything. We could be told anything we like. But I suppose this is a thing. The globe is the heliocentric model is a creation story. Yeah, and they've got this whole thing, the evolution and all that. It's like, yeah, in many ways it's very satisfying because it's even if, of course, what happened before the Big Bang? Well, it was so long ago, it doesn't matter. But you basically got this start of our story. Yeah. So there's this feeling of I've got something to cling on to. Vividness. Yeah, and again, yeah, Glenn, and YouTube, yeah, you're talking about McToon, or this other guy, what was his name? Flat Earth Dave. The maliciousness, and of course I've experienced this with someone like Wolfie 6020. You just know that the maliciousness of their attacks mean that they're on the attack because they feel that you're attacking their belief, so they go on the attack. Yeah. And they talk all sorts of shit about your family or you're stupid and things like that. And that's the thing. Again, it doesn't make me angry. I'm just waiting for those guys to get over that emotion. If they are on a path like the rest of us, if you're on they'll eventually get to that point where they realise, I was a bit of a twat there. I didn't need to say that. But that can't happen. It doesn't matter. That can't happen until they reflect. So, again, I can't. There's nothing I can do to argue or debate with them or even try to explain, because they're not ready to listen, because they don't want to. But whether they get to that point in their lifetime or not is up to them, not me. Yeah. So again, it goes back to the evil in the world. What can you do about it? What can you do? Yeah. Whether it's people lining up to get their cups of tea for their Rona or whatever, yeah. All you can do is lead your own path. Yeah, that's all you can do. YouTube shows your credentials. Oh, by the way, if I'm planning on being in the UK with my kids mid-October to November. So reach out if you want to meet up. It would be fantastic to try and see a few of you in the UK. So I'll be there from we can say mid-October until mid-November. Yeah, it'll be the first time my kids have been to England. I've no idea how it's going to go, but it's going to be great. Yeah, and this is the thing, this is one of those situations where, in order to give my kids that experience, I've had to bite the bullet. I've had to get them Thai passports and English passports. I can't do this kind of what's the word, sovereign citizen thing. If I took that mentality, then I'm screwing up any opportunities that my kids might have. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to play the game. You have to put your foot into the system at some point if you want to get along. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you surrender to it all. Yeah, you just have to play the things that you need and can. It is a game. Yeah, I mean, I wish borders didn't exist. I wish there weren't countries, and I wish you didn't have to do passports and visas and things like that. Yeah. The UK isn't close to Florida either, but definitely. Thank you, Glenn. I didn't know you were in Florida, but yeah. What's that night at the round table? Puka, we're going to Portishead. I'm in Manchester. Well, Portishead was where I was last time, but I'm going to be in Wiltshire, which is kind of, I mean, it's not too far from Portishead, but south, yeah, kind of. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I want to maybe do a few train trips and things with the kids, take them to see. I've never seen Stonehenge. I'd love to take them to see that, and I think Glastonbury is a definite. Go up the tour, things like that. Bath. We'll see. So yeah, and I got to carry on working as well at the same time. I got to. But I'll see what kind of time I can get off. Yeah. Hello, Stash Man. What's that, TSA? Not exactly, but there are some people who didn't register their kids, but they still got their passport. What's that? Earthy Caster, you have a world passport. Yeah, screw passports. But yeah, TSA and V Thomas. I don't know. I don't know what other options. I mean, yeah, I know. Obviously, people. It's funny, isn't it? Because obviously, you rock up as an immigrant on the UK borders in a boat without a passport. You get all sorts. I mean, maybe I should try that. Yeah. Yeah. But no, really. I mean, this is. I mean, as I was saying, if I didn't have kids, maybe I wouldn't bother. But I'm doing whatever I can to give my kids options at least. I can't dictate their path. But if I can give them the choice, as is possible, because I've got that, English. I can give them that English or British nationality. Why not? Why not? Yeah, I mean, I'd be a fool not to, right? Yeah, I would be selfish if I just, I'm not going to bother with all this passport stuff, But I have to. Again, I have to if I, to keep myself here in this country with my wife and everything. It's one of those things I have to do. It's just, it's part of the thing that kind of. So yeah, I have to. You can't beat them. Join them in that respect. It's just one of those things. Yeah. What's that? EAG monk sovereign is a leniency from the oligarchy, so you are still part of the system and within the law of rule. Yeah, it's kind of. And actually, there's because we all still. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? No matter what country you come from, they all use a very similar system. So they've all adopted very similar things in that respect, the way passports and visas work. So. Yeah, it's all one big club. What's that? Check in Earthy Caster. Check into World Passport and Gary Davis, the first national-less declarant in 1948. I will do. Okay, thank you for that. Heads up. I had no idea about that. Okay. A World Passport. Okay. Interesting. That's the thing, you see, you get to a place, I don't know, somewhere like Thailand, I mean, I've had times where they just, they don't want to let you in, they don't have to let you in, doesn't matter, you could scream and cry all you want, yeah, doesn't matter, you've got kids, wife, well, they have the power to make a decision, not based on necessarily. It's just up to them. Yeah, they're not held to account. Sean Hawkins is here, is he? TSA, you're saying Phuket word, it's the same as saying I cannot do anything about the globe. So I will believe in it. Do you mean the whole passport thing? Slightly different. Slightly different because it does, having a passport allows you to travel. You can't book a ticket without having a passport. Yeah? You can't, it's just... yes, I would love to find out about world passports and options there, absolutely. Yeah? But, I'm not going to forego the opportunity for my kids to experience another country and a culture just because, yes, I understand that it's conceptual and all that kind of thing. But, again, on the other hand, I understand these. I accept that, there's, for example, a country. If you look at somewhere like England or any other country, there are good reasons that they are successful, powerful countries where you have a fairly good standard of living. It's because certain things have been done. There isn't the corruption as there is corruption, of course, but not like there is here, where that's the thing. You see things get built here, and that the money has come down from the top, and as it comes down, a bit gets taken off, So what happens is construction projects end up, they're not done properly, or they take ages to do because there's never, by the time the money gets to the contractors, there's not enough for them to complete the job, because everyone's had their take on the way down. Yeah? And so this is what holds the country back. Yeah? Whereas, so this, there is something to be said for that stoic progression. Yeah? And this, you compare someone like wherever you are, you compare that to some kind of country that is lacking infrastructure. If you go and try and live in a country that doesn't have the infrastructure that you're used to, yeah, it's all very romantic, climbing up, the mountains in Nepal or something like that. But there's going to be a point where, I've had enough of this. I want a hot bath, or I want to sit on a proper crapper. No, you either, or and then you go back, or you totally adapt to, and the only thing you can do is to adapt to that culture and become one of them, and that's fine, But and again, it's like, either way, it's kind of, you end up being in this all or nothing situation, yeah. Mark Hendry, good comment. Does anyone find it ironic how a program aimed at old people is called Countdown? Yes. Yeah. Right, okay. What's that? David Banner on YouTube. Nick Pickup, Lucky Haskins and Bro Sanchez. They've been doing a lot for Flat Earth. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Bro does a good job. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what's that? TSA, now it's good for your kids to have UK nationality, but everything changes. Sometimes people love Germans, for example, and they're, yeah, sure, it's yeah. But so far in my life experience, having a British passport is pretty handy. And again, there's a lot to be said for the, of course, I'm not defending the crap that goes on, the the decimation we've caused, the raping and pillaging that's gone on in, not defending that in whatsoever. It's yeah. Again, we can't be on bended knee for the atrocities of the past, can we? Because they were people. They were other people. It's always people that we're dealing with. Again, it's just got to. These things are in place. The systems are in place. There is for example, there is a democratic system in place. And if you want change and if you want things to happen, you do have to fight for it. You do, just as we all have to get up and work every day to feed our families. Yeah, there's all these things take effort. They do. And so kudos, hats off to those people that really, truly dedicate their lives, to that. But I'm sure you'll know as well that if you single-minded, dedicate your life to a particular cause, then there's other things that are going to be left in the wayside. For example, I know you take someone like Julian Assange, yeah? I mean, okay, someone that could see what was going on, he understood that wars were just done for profit and stuff like that, and he made his case and he was speaking his truth. I don't know about his family situation, but he's ended up in a situation where I know he's obviously isolated, and I don't know too much about the situation. I'm just an example that came up, but there's okay. Yeah, we can give him a lot of praise and kudos for what he's done, for waking people up, for making people realise that. But look at what he's had to put up with, or has he isolated himself from his family? Have his kids grown up without a father? I don't know if he's got kids or not, but so it's the same. If you're a businessman, you're focused on your business. You're gonna have to ignore your kids sometimes and things like that. It's tough, and there's no right or wrong. It's just the way things are. Your path is, whether it's mapped out or not, whether you make choices and decisions that are good or bad. This is the adventure of life. There's actually no need to be shooting up to the stars and things like that. There's enough going on in this life. and that's the deal. We've only got maximum 100 years, I suppose, on this earth. Yeah, for as far as we know. Right. Okay. Anyway, this has been going on how long now? I'm not sure how long. Oh, I think we've been doing almost 2 hours. Wow. So you must be very bored of this unshaven face right now. So I think that would be a good time to leave it. So yeah, it's been great. I mean, I would love to carry this on. What I'll try and do is kind of let's try and set up something. It's great to see you in chat, but if you want to join in and have a discussion, that's fine. You can be any disposition you like. I don't mind. And if you think I'm talking crap, then pull me up on it and tell me. That's fine. We can have a discussion. There's no, it's not an argument. We can all do that. So that's I appreciate that you feel if you disagree with me, tell me, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We can discuss these things. Yeah. But I hope it's been kind of fruitful in some ways, and you kind of had a good time joining in the conversation here in live chat. One more from TSA, Phuket word. What you want to create and you have means to do because of your intelligence. Having multiple intelligent people in the community, sharing resources, making money. Okay, yeah. What you want to create and what you have means to do it. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's a question of actually doing those things, isn't it? Jolly Man says concentrate on what's real. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Emerald Rider. Hi. Okay. What's that? There is no wrong path. They all lead us to the right one. Absolutely. Nice one. Very nice. Yeah, I love that one. Thank you. V. Thomas, Assange is isolated, Flat Earth is isolated, vegans isolated. Good point, V. Thomas. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, yeah, let's leave it at that. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, it's great. And have yourselves a great weekend. Do your thing, and let others do theirs, and let them walk their path, you walk yours, yeah, and we'll catch up in the next video, yeah. All right, thank you very much, take care, see you soon.